how do you win the war? How do you win the war? You win the war by having peace. So how do you come to peace? Here's the thing. What we've done for centuries on centuries on centuries is we've played the role of peace. We've had showgirl peace, if you will. But that's not actually like who we are, right? We've just suppressed issues instead of actually working through them. Because here's the thing. We are filled with fear. We are fearful, fear-filled. What that means is that somewhere along the way, we stopped being curious. Because here's the thing. They lied to us when they said that curiosity kills the cat. Curiosity is what allows you to research and find information. Now, what's happening is there's a great divide. There's a great divide. And when you have people divided, what do you have? Debate. Debate equals divide. If you are going into a conversation fearful of the other person not agreeing with you, if the other person immediately shutting you down, if you have trauma around conflict, you will never be able to get anywhere in that conversation. But that's not to say that the person that you're speaking with is the problem. You are the problem, and until you take accountability for being the problem, everyone stays stuck. The war stays. There is no peace. This is a direct call out for being able to understand that we are a fear-filled society. And what that means is that we are all insanely insecure. We've all been told to look for approval and look for things outside of ourselves when the only things that were ever going to make us confident, that were ever going to make us secure people, is internal. Until your body feels safe being in this body, you will always struggle. You won't be able to communicate. You won't be able to feel great in relationships. You will find ways to avoid the problems that are actually happening internally. Addiction and avoidance are the same thing. Two sides of the same coin. Attachments are huge for us. And when you're so focused on attachments, again, you're not focused on the self. You're not focused on the internal things. The only way to win the war is peace. The only way to find peace is within. You can't go outside expecting thy neighbor to be peaceful so that way you can be peaceful. That's not how it works. Everything about getting what you want and breaking patterns pertains to doing the thing that you think is counterintuitive. So for example, if you wish that you had familial love and you didn't get that growing up, the easiest way for you to get out of that habit is to figure out how to release the attachments to your family. Meaning, instead of valuing how they view you, what they give to you, what they've done to or for you, you pull everything inward and you figure out how you can provide yourself with all of those things that you felt that you never got. Because when you feel good about you, you have more to give to others. It's free flow, it's overflow. So when that happens, and you give back to the family, and you have this love that they've never experienced, because let's face it, that's the reason that they didn't give it. They don't know how. When you give it to them, you've already changed the situation. Because whether they realize it consciously or subconsciously, you've affected them. They're now picking up a different pattern and they're like, well, what do I do with this? And then that's when they're going to have to confront, do I feel safe receiving this? Why do I feel not safe receiving this. Or, oh, that feels so much better than what I have been doing. When you start to get this going, you recognize that the counterintuitive thing of giving love from a place of self-acceptance, again, if you try to spiritually bypass any of these things, you're out. It's not going to work. You're going to feel extra shitty. That's the thing about karma. Whatever you're asking for from the universe, from God, from whatever you want to claim it to be, you're going to get those things. But that comes with trials and tribulations. And the more that you want something, the more you're going to have to change your behavior to get it. You are going to have to do the work. Otherwise, karma is going to keep showing up in different ways until you work through all of your attachments, all of your addictions, all of your fears. The only way to win the war is peace. The only way to find peace is within. That's the only way. So you can keep yelling and screaming and fighting, but until you're able to handle situations through a secure lens, this shit just repeats and repeats and repeats. It's a different flavor. Everyone likes a different flavor of fear. It's not until you start thinking about how the fear makes you feel instead of how good the fear tastes that you actually solve fear obesity. So you have a choice. You have an option. Do you want to work on yourself? Do you want to be the change that you wish to see? All of these are cliches, but they never were processed properly. The true meaning behind the words never seeped in to the brains of the public. You can't keep doing the same shit and expecting different results. That is insanity. To break patterns, you have to move differently. You have to think differently. You have to identify differently. And until you come to those conclusions, until you feel that within, you stay stuck. You have the opportunity to choose whether you want to believe in your fears or your faith. When you choose faith, you naturally move towards those good behaviors, towards those things that make you feel rewarded. When you choose to believe in your fears, you go further and further away. You feel more and more pain. The world around you is all energy. You have to decide what energy you want to hold, which energies you are willing to accept, and how do you put those boundaries in place to not accept the energies that you don't want. There are ways to put boundaries in place. Boundaries are necessary for any healthy relationship. If you do not have healthy boundaries, you will never have a healthy relationship. That's not to be taken only romantically. Your relationship to anything and everything, if you do not have boundaries with yourself within your home, you will be unhappy. AKA, do you keep your space clean? Do you do your work in your bed and cross your relaxation and your work boundaries? Like, do you set boundaries for yourself when it comes to working from home? Do you make sure that you take the lunch? Do you make sure that you still go walk around? The more you realize the relationship with the self is reflective in all of your relationships, the more you'll be incentivized to work on the self. Nothing comes easy. Nothing worth having comes easy. And you are choosing your hard. So if you're gonna choose your hard, why not be a hard that's working towards something? Why not be a hard that eventually ends up feeling good? What if you stopped chasing instant gratification? What if you learned discipline and control for yourself? What if you acted how you want people to view you when you're all alone? What if you did the things even when no one is watching? What if you held yourself to that level of accountability? How does your life improve? How does the life around you, how does the lives of others around you improve? Does that end the war? Is that how you win the war? It's up for you to decide how many cycles of this we continue to go through. Until you realize that hate is not the problem, discrimination is not the problem, but fear itself is the problem. A lack of curiosity is the problem. You're not going to solve anything. Fear has different flavors. It is the fear itself that creates these issues. So what are you afraid of? And if you're afraid of war, I think you have a lot of thinking to do.